This is part 3 of my best and worst of DC Comics of 2016, the top 10 DC Universe Rebirth titles. I'll have a link at the end of the video for the people who did not see part 1 and part 2. And I won't be going over the DC Universe Rebirth special because I did cover that in part 2, the top 10 worst of DC Universe Rebirth. Not that it was the worst, that was just the first one that I did and I felt it needed to be talked about. And since I don't want to go into too much that I already covered, I didn't like New 52, so I dropped comic books. Here I am again back with Rebirth, yada yada yada. Let's just get right on into the top 10 DC Universe Rebirth titles of 2016. Number 10, The Flash. So the first issue, the first Rebirth issue, really deals with Barry Allen's origins, how he came about his speed, and of course it introduces us to all the supporting characters. And the next one, issue 1 of the ongoing, kind of catches us in the now, so it still is introducing supporting characters but moves the story along a little bit, and the Flash really plays out like a slow burn movie for the first few issues as we're getting to know everybody. And his best friend ends up getting super speed, and we find out that not only him but the entire world does. And these are really interesting stories without having a ton of action. It still has some action in it, but it's not like inundated with it. It's not the main focus, it's the characters, and I really appreciate the Flash for that particular point of view, to go through the characters to get to the action rather than the action to the characters. Now, I didn't care too much for everybody getting super speed, but it ended up rounding out and becoming a really good story as they introduced Godspeed. And even though it's okay, another speedster for Flash to fight, this one turned out to be interesting in the way that his powers would steal the speed from other people. I love this Lightning in the Jar cover. This is one of the best covers. And let me take a few moments to say that the Flash has some of the best covers DC is creating, hands down. I love the one where he's holding the Earth. Anyway, yeah, the Godspeed story is the main focus of the first 6 issues, and it was pretty good, and it's a great start. Unfortunately, and this is why it's number 10 instead of higher on the list, after the Godspeed storyline, it does take a little bit of a dip. The art in the later issues are just not good, and I mean, like literally just not good. It's not like it's passable. No, it's bad. It's actually bad art. And it's so bad it's actually distracting. But soon things pick up and the story picks up again. Wally West comes into play, and I like that because nobody else is referencing him in the DC Universe except for the Flash and the Teen Titans. But I loved the last few issues where Shade showed up because he's one of my favorite Flash villains. And they used him in a way that is kind of like Chunk from the old Wally West series, but the thing is they used him creepy, and the way it took over Iris is also just another creepy way to look at things. But the thing is it also gave depth to the villain character, which hardly ever happens. All in all, it ended up being a very good story. It's just bringing the Flash back to the greatness of the first 6 issues, and I'm really appreciative of that and hoping that it continues, and maybe we'll see this climb as next year rolls around. And the year ender here with the third date between Iris and Barry it's a one-off, and it's completely passable without actually hurting anything. Number 9. Red Hood and the Outlaws, and let me tell you, it is nice to be pleasantly surprised. This is one of the worst titles of the New 52. It was horrible, but Red Hood and the Outlaws Rebirth grabbed me from the first issue and still has not let me go. I want to find out what happens with Black Mask and Bizarro and the Red Hood and Artemis. These are really cool characters, and this is a really cool story. Now, it is absolutely action-oriented, but the thing is, they really do take time to set up the characters, and the relationship between Red Hood and Bizarro is one of the best things I've read this year. And it's a lot of fun. I'm going to be finding different ways to say it's a lot of fun. I love this cover, by the way, with Black Mask eating them. And that's something else. It also has some really good covers. I like this one too. And I'm interested in finding out what happens next. And that's the main thing a comic book has to do. Not only does it have to entertain you, but it also has to sell you on the next issue. So you make sure to come back next month, and I absolutely will be happy to do so. Number 8. Batgirl and the Birds of Prey. What a good story this is. Somebody's out there using the name Oracle, and the Batgirl and the Birds of Prey are searching for who it is. And it's basically one big long mystery so far. And it's taken up all 6 issues, the Deep Rebirth #1, and then of course the regular series. And it has been a lot of fun finding out along the way. I love the fact that Batgirl plays referee to Black Canary and Huntress. Huntress is a killer. They play her off. She's the Wolverine, but she doesn't act like Wolverine, which is a big plus. You know, she is her own character. And I like the redesign. I do like the hood and the way it looks there. It's not my favorite of the Huntress costumes, but it's still pretty good. Black Canary, I'm still on the fence of. However, I do have to admit, I do not see this Black Canary as the same person as the Black Canary and Green Arrow. So there is a little bit of a continuity mix-up on that. But still, it works. And there is some good writing in this book. In particular, I pointed out in my review of Batgirl and Birds of Prey #4, a particular scene that I loved that pointed out to this. Now, I was a little disappointed when they found the Oracle and who it was, but in the end it was still a good story, and I'm looking forward to see what happens next. Number 7, Batman. Now, the first issue, the Rebirth special, was a little bit lame. It introduced Batwing into the storyline, but mostly it was just talks between Bruce Wayne and his side characters. Once again, getting to know everybody. However, once the first issue of the regular series hit, it kicked into gear. This is the story about Gotham and Gotham Girl coming to Gotham City to save it. And at first, of course, Batman is open to more teammates than he used to be before the new 52, excuse me. And it's an interesting story to watch these people who want to help Gotham so much that they start to lose themselves and then start to lose their minds in doing the helping. And it's really cool to watch as they just want to take over, and one of them absolutely goes insane. And of course, they are immensely powerful, far more powerful than Batman, and at one point I think they even take on the JLA. One of them does, and he beats them. And so it's pretty good, and it's got a tragic ending to that. And what's really good about this is that there's an after effect, as Batman has to console Gotham Girl. He actually seeks Alfred's advice. How did you help me deal with my parents' death? And of course Alfred says, you dress up like a bat every night and you go out and beat people up. I don't think I helped you at all. And that's in this issue right here, issue 6. And I thought that was really good. Now, it does take a downturn for the really crappy Monster Men series, but thankfully it was only one issue of Batman, so it really didn't hurt. You just had to get through issue 7, and then it's right back into greatness with I'm sorry, yes, number 8 also, but only 2 issues. But this series, the Monster Men, is horrible. It was just bad. It doesn't even belong in a Batman story, guys. It's easily forgotten. However, I Am Suicide is Batman versus Bane, and these stories are excellent. Bane actually kidnaps Hugo Strange and the Psycho Pirate because he wants to be happy. So he gets the Psycho Pirate to basically come in and make him happy. And the story is excellent. The writing is great. The art is really good. It's not like, picture perfect art, but, well, duh, it's pictures. Anyway, but it's not the best art ever, but the colors and the shading sets a tone that is awesome. And in the end, you see Batman using a team of characters. You're like, why are you bringing these people together? But then during the payoff, everything just comes together perfectly. in a way that makes you slap at your head and go, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? And of course you have this annual as the season ender, and it's a complete Christmas annual. It's a whole bunch of stories that are themed around Christmas time. It's a one-off, but overall the stories are really good, and it's definitely worth picking up. Number 6. So the creators of Wonder Woman decided to take a different turn with how they're going to tell the stories and the structure of the book and the series, actually. And that is where the odd number issues are one story about her finding the cheetah, and there's a story about that, and then the other one is her origin. So the even number is following her year 1. It's Wonder Woman year 1. And in all honesty, they're both pretty good. You have Greg Rucka writing both of them, and he's a pretty good Wonder Woman writer, except, of course, he's completely wrong on that Wonder Woman is queer thing. I made a video about it. Check it out. But the art is what's different. Like the art for The Lies Part 1, the Cheetah story. No, I read The Lies Part 1. The Lies, excuse me. The Cheetah story is drawn by Liam Sharp. And that art is dead on. I mean, that is some really great art going through that book. And overall, it's the superior story as far as art is concerned. However, year 1 is a great story when it comes to writing, but the art by Nicholas Scott is left wanting. It's just a little bit off. Like the faces are off. Everything just seems just wrong in certain places. And so that creates a bit of a dip in quality from issue to issue. However, if you stay straight to the stories, they're both good. This is a very strong book based on the writing alone. And like I said, aside from his wrong-headedness about Wonder Woman being gender queer or lesbian or whatever, not the fact that she is, just the reasoning behind it. Set that aside, and what you've got are two very good stories, which I'm surprised. How are they going to handle this come trade paperback time? Because basically, if they did it after 6 months, it would be out now, but you would have 2 books ready on the... You would have to have them the same day that the ends of the stories come. But I digress. If you have not read this title, this is one of them to get, obviously. I mean, it's in my top 10. But you're not going to be disappointed. Even with the year 1 story, it's gripping. It's I wouldn't say fun. These titles aren't really fun. They're more dramatic than fun, you know. So, but still, they draw you in. They get you. It's exactly what, you know, comic books are supposed to do. And yes, some of them are supposed to be more fun than others, I guess. But this will take you. Oh, in the last issue, Wonder Woman goes nuts. And it's just it's just weird to watch, because they arrive to Themyscira and it's not there, and Wonder Woman loses herself. So Steve Rogers actually ends up having to protect her. And it's an interesting twist. It's an interesting turn, because you're not used to seeing Wonder Woman lose her mental faculties in the way that she did. And of course, if anything can bring something new to the table after 40 years of collecting, I'm there for it. Number 5. Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. This is one of the surprise books to me, because I read the Green Lanterns first, and I was a little disappointed at the one-note characters that they created in Baz and Jessica, so I was scared to pick this one up, so it sat and it lingered, and I didn't pick it up. But when I did, holy Toledo, was I wrong. This is an exciting book, kids. Hal Jordan creates himself a ring out of his own willpower alone, and at one point becomes willpower. It's incredible. It's a really good story. Plus you have the Sinestro Corps fighting, and just the whole thing is one great cliffhanger after another, leading up to yet another great cliffhanger, so you are always wanting to see what happens next. And that's something I say a lot in these little reviews, so you can tell that's big for me. I love this cover. This is possibly my favorite cover of the Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. I just love this, and it's indicative of what's inside. You have stars from everywhere. It's not just Hal Jordan, but Guy Gardner has a great issue. You just have... Oh my gosh, John Stewart. John Stewart has some great issues, and he comes off as the leader that he is. They even have Mogo. appearing, and he should really be more powerful than they play it off. I mean, as a planet, how willful can a planet be? But then after the whole Green Lantern versus Sinestro thing is done, they go into yet another story where you find out that the Green Lantern Corps had been kidnapped, and kidnapped by whom is the huge mystery, and that just turns out to be something excellent and wonderful to see. I mean, at first I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" That, and then I just thought it was really cool that they got kidnapped the way they did, and by whom. And then when you find out that there's somebody even behind that and who it was, it's just a lot of fun. This is one of the best titles. Obviously, I mean, I got it at number 5, but it's just incredible. It's one of the best titles that are out there. This is one to pick up. It will keep you on the edge of your seat. It will keep you interested, and you will. It's definitely a page turner. Hands down, Hal Jordan is one of the best titles that DC Rebirth is. Oh, well, there you go. Now you see who was collecting. I guess spoilers, but that's the whole thing. Brainiac collects the Green Lantern Corps, and there's actually somebody pulling the strings for Brainiac. And who it is absolutely a great twist. It's an amazing book. Number 4. The Titans has the honor of actually being the only book that really follows the DC Rebirth universe special. So we actually get to see what happens to Wally West after he's brought back into this particular world. And it's a great story. I am a huge fan of the Flash Rogues Warriors. There you go. I'm a big fan of the Flash's Rogues Gallery, and in this issue we get Abracadabra. In this series we get Abracadabra, and it's a lot of fun watching him. He creates a whole new Teen Titans from his memory, and they battle the Titans themselves. And we also get to see how Wally deals with the fact that Linda Lee does not recognize her. She doesn't recognize Wally anymore, of course, and he of course remembers that they were married at one point. And so Abracadabra challenges him to run as fast as he can to save everybody. He's got 4 different people in jeopardy in 4 different corners of the United States. And his thinking is he's going to disappear into the Speed Force because he doesn't have the relationship with Linda to anchor him down anymore. And it's just a great storyline. And thankfully it does continue the Rebirth series, and that, in my opinion, is what makes this one of the strongest of the DC Universe Rebirth titles. And like I say all the time to every book, I really am looking forward to seeing what happens next, because these are the characters I grew up with. Number 3, Action Comics, and I've got to say, this quickly became one of my favorite titles, and it just has not stopped yet. The first 6 issues really deal with him versus Doomsday, and I was kind of surprised that they led with Doomsday. It's it's kind of like the Justice League leading with Darkseid. It's something you build up to. I mean, even the Avengers movies know you save Thanos for down the line, but they did. They started with Deathstroke. They started with Doomsday, and it's paid off. It was an exciting series. You had Wonder Woman join in the battle, so that was also pretty cool to see. Also, it helped for Wonder Woman to deal with the fact that she was the new 52 Superman's girlfriend, and now she's meeting Lois Lane. And they hash it out. They solve the problem for the audience who would have said, wait a second, what's going to happen to these two? Basically, I was like, I know he's not my Superman. There you go. And it was done, which was the most intelligent way they could possibly do that. So they really did cover their bases pretty well on that particular point. Otherwise, they were really just a whole bunch of action-packed big fight issues. And by that, it's just, okay, we're going to punch over here for a while, and then I'm going to throw you over there, and then we're going to punch over there for a while. And so on, ad nauseum, until it was over. I mean, that's a Doomsday story. And then it changes to focus from the Doomsday to finding out why there is a Superman and a Clark Kent, and they're in 2 different bodies. and you kind of get a little history of Krypton in it, and just a little more understanding of the characters. And I kind of gotta say I like this. I like the dichotomy of it. I like the fact that we're seeing both characters, and the mystery is not fully answered. So that leaves a lot of room for a story for later. Although it was a little morbid for them to have to kill off the New 52 Superwoman to make room for the new Lois Lane. That was kind of creepy-ish. And now we come to the 967. This is the trial of Lex Luthor, where somebody sees in the future that he's going to become the new Darkseid, and so they decide to kill him. I've done reviews of each issue of this individually, and I'm going to do a review of the new one coming up. But it's really good storyline. So far, Action Comics has not let me down. There is not a weak story in the bunch, and that is really hard, because there are not many. Actually, I can say there's 3 that really do not. No, 4 if you count the Titans that do that. And the Trial of Lex Luthor here. This is the newest issue, and it's continuing. I can't wait to see what happens next with the twist at the end here. In just a little bit, I'll have the digital comic up so you could read along with it. And of course, my review. It's a great story so far, and issue 970 continues the quality. Number 2, Superman. Now, I almost put this at number 1. And there is absolutely not a bad issue in Superman. The first one gets him reacquainted with the universe he's in and kind of introduces him to the new world that they're in. And then right away you get into this story about Superboy and the family. And that's what makes the Superman title great. This is Superman dealing with his family. It's dealing with Jonathan. It's dealing with Lois and just their relationship and how Jonathan's growing up Superboy. Every issue has something to do with that. The first story has the Eradicator wanting to kill John because he is an anomaly. The human half of him, the Eradicator sees as a weakness, and so he must be destroyed so Krypton can be pure. And it's a great story. You get character through action. This is action-packed, but you do get character through action. You get the whole family dichotomy is in here also, including Lois Lane suiting up and helping out at one point, which was incredible. And I love these covers, especially that one with the Eradicator. And then there's another one coming up here where they're flying to the moon. It's really, really good. Or maybe it just passed. But the covers were good. The art's excellent. But it's really the story that carries this. It's just like I said, it's the supporting characters that surround Superman that makes him good. When they focus on the man over the super, that is when the Superman titles really shine to me. And after that, this is one of the best issues right here, and this is just the family at the fair. I loved this issue. Issue number 8 or 7 is my favorite. Number 8 is great though, especially right at the end. They go through this island where these dinosaurs are attacking them, and then at the end there's like a little twist, and you find out, because they keep finding bodies, and you find out who those bodies are and who they belong to, and it's a little nod to the Golden Age, and that just it makes it excellent. You get to see Captain Storm again, and that's awesome. And then right here, this is a homage to the old world's finest stories, where you would get Superman and Batman pairing off and competing against each other. In this case, you have Batman and Superman coming together to put their to test their boys, and it's just a ton of fun. It really is. And I mean, it literally is just a fun issue. This is what comics are all about. When Frankenstein arrives, one thing I've done a full review on the Frankenstein issues, and one thing I like about these is that there's no huge battle between Frankenstein and Superman. There's a little bit of a disagreement, and they toss each other back and forth, but Frankenstein's after somebody specific, he goes after him, ignoring, you know, Superman trying to stop him and everything. And ultimately, the Bride comes, and it's more of a fight between Frankenstein and the Bride. And then finally, at the end of the year, we had this Superman annual, which is basically, in the beginning, you had Superman touch the ground, and there was a blue hand print. And this annual kind of follows that, and you find out what happens in that, and it's excellent. Every issue of Superman is excellent. It's absolutely one of the best. In my opinion, it's one of the top 2 comics that's being produced by DC Rebirth. So before revealing the #1 issue of DC Rebirth 2016, here are the runner-ups, or otherwise known as 15 through 11.
Simeon and the Ultra-Humanite. We got Giganta and Titano. The kids are gonna bug you cause they just gotta go to the only hidden city with an invisible dome, unless you count Atlantis and Kandor.
And the absolute #1 greatest title that DC Universe Rebirth has been producing is Aquaman, the most underrated Rebirth title of all. And during this review, I'm sorry, it's New Year's Eve while I'm recording this, and there's fireworks going off in the background. Anyway, this is the most amazing book. The Aquaman wants to bring together the surface world in Atlantis, and they even create kind of a embassy between the two for people to visit and get to know the culture and everything. Of course, Black Manus has other ideas, and he sabotages it. And this is the first. The first half is having to deal with the fact that people die and in the American embassy, and Aquaman takes responsibility. He even allows himself to be arrested at one point, and then of course, you know, Black Manus is all behind it. He wants to go capture him, but there's no way to prove it. So even at one point, they escape and have to face down Superman. And then, I mean, this story alone, that's the first 6 issues. And basically it's the same one, because it's all, he still wants to bring people together while people are fighting the whole idea that Atlantis and the surface world should be together. And my goodness, what should I say? First, the art. Let's talk about the art really quick, and it is absolutely wonderful. Some of the best covers of the Rebirth. And I'm glad this one popped up when I said some of the best covers, because it really is a good cover. But also, the interior art is excellent. The writing, however, is what keeps me coming back each time. Mira is having trouble because they're going to get married, but there's a prophet that says that if they do get married, Mira will destroy Atlantis, so she's nervous about that. The Black Manus, when his plans go awry, he's recruited by this Black Ops area they've been behind the scenes taking down countries, and now they want to make a proxy war between Atlantis and the United States, so they kind of play both sides against each other. This demon from the depths has the Shaggy Man. I've always been a fan of the Shaggy Man. And so yeah, it's like I said in my reviews, I try to review Aquaman a lot, try to get the word out there. But I said that it's one long story. It's not like the others where you have 3 or 4 issues and it breaks off, or even 6 issues and break off. You could break this in the middle of the 6 issues. However, it's still been the same thing. It's been a year-long journey here, and each and every chapter has been just absolutely excellent. I'm not surprised too much, because even with the New 52, Aquaman was the one title I gravitated to. And I wasn't a huge fan before it. It's not like I was this huge Aquaman fan. I just found it, and it ended up awesome. This one, I did a full review of issue number 12 and 13. Go check it out. It talks about the plans and the ideas behind everything and what's going on. It's absolutely worth it. Aquaman, #1 title of the DC Rebirth in 2016. Check it out. 12 midnight, January 1st, 2017 when I'm recording this. So Happy New Year to everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you liked it, click like and subscribe, the whole 9 yards. Also, tell me in the comments below, what was your favorite? What did I include that I should have left off, and what did I leave off that I should have included? Thank you for watching.